Hi guys, and welcome back. So today is a little bit of a practice video. So in the last video that I did for my piece Transplant, I really loved the technique that I used for that, but I wanted to make sure that I could reproduce some of those things in another piece. That way I can keep building up on it and working on it. Whereas if I didn't touch that kind of a process for a while, I think I might kind of forget how I did it and how I replicated it. And that happens a lot when I'm trying out new stuff and then I don't try it out more and then I want to do something similar again. A lot of times it's been enough time that I don't even remember how I was able to do it and what types of brush strokes I did. So while I still had a little bit of that muscle memory from the piece from a couple days ago, I wanted to make sure that I did another piece that was similar to that so I could get another chance to try that out. So a few things that I focused on was kind of the push and pull of having something that's softer and some of the harder, sharper, more fine lines. So for this I wanted to use a much larger brush to get in there and get the bulk of the value, and then I used a very sharp thin line to emphasize some of the edges and the lines and give certain planes to it. And I think that this piece, some areas ended up a little bit too soft in the blending side of it, because I think I could have gone in a little bit harder with the brush that I was using to blend first before I went in with this more of a lining type brush. And I think that that way it could have given it a little bit more solidity in areas. I think specifically in his hair, I think it's a little bit too soft, at least like the brush strokes that I used to define the edges of where his hair was and where it was overlapping. It kind of mushed into one where if I went in while I was doing the values and really, I think if I shrunk that brush down and added a little bit more of an edge where it overlapped, where shadows were cast from individual hairs and locks of hair, I think that it would have given it a little bit more of an in-focus look, rather it being a little bit blurry looking right now. But that's something I'm really excited about working on, because I think that's kind of the dichotomy that I'm excited to try out in these, where I'm playing with both soft and hard, because I'm used to playing with only hard and I really love that, but now I'd like to look and see how I can push and pull with the two sides of that. So I think that I could have done a little bit better in some areas on this piece, but I overall feel happy with the fact that I was experimenting and I was trying it out and seeing what didn't work and what kind of brush strokes didn't work and what kind of hand motions didn't work. And that way I can get better at finding what I think does work and what I do like. And I think that one of the things that became apparent to me as I was working on this piece that I need to really work on is values. So for this, I think that it was just way too high contrast, and that can definitely work for the right kind of painting. But for this one, I wasn't really going for that. It just kind of ended up that way. So it felt a little bit out of control in that way. Mostly it's just that I had really, really dark darks and really high lights and not a lot in between. So it looks really harsh in a way that wasn't really intentional, and I want there to be a lot more mid-tones so that when I add that punch of dark and that really highlight, it's gonna pop and it's gonna draw the eye, where this, it's just, there's just so much that's kind of fighting for attention that it's a little bit hard to read and to see where you're supposed to be focusing on, because there is supposed to be a focal point even for portraits. So I think I can get better at that. I was using photo reference for this, but I think that I used it when I sketched it out and drew it, and then I stopped looking at it when I started doing the values, which is insane because there is so much information in that photograph that I needed and I kind of ignored. So it's crazy to think that I was not utilizing the resources that I had available to me right there. So I'll make sure that going forward, when I'm using reference, I'm gonna make sure that I get all the information I can from it, especially how to render skin, because that's the way that I've treated showing skin is very different from how I would show it in this kind of an application, which means that I have a lot to learn, and being able to study skin and how it realistically has shadows and reflects light, that's something I really need to work on. So I'll make sure that I focus on that in the future and try to find ways that I can make sure that my pieces have the right kind of values for the mood and the look that I want, and that way I can guide the eye where I need it to be. I absolutely loved coloring this piece. It was really freeing to be able to already have the values and everything done below it, and to be able to just put down the colors that I want and blend them together. I noticed this way I was worrying a lot less about what the local color was of the piece and a lot more on just what colors I liked and how I liked how they blended. And that was just a really enjoyable thing. It's something that I've been wanting to experiment more with, so this kind of an application really showed me how I can loosen myself up and set myself free of those expectations of what it needs to be. But that is pretty much it for this piece. I loved working on it. I think what I loved the most though is that I was able to kind of pick up things that I would like to put more of and the kind of style that I like, and things that I don't like, so I can stop using it and putting it in my pieces. So that was really exciting. I think that I definitely learned a lot about being more painterly in this piece, so it'll help me in the future and the future paintings that I do. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Like I said, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you at my next one.